Welcome to the Purpose Beyond Motherhood podcast. We are so glad that you are listening today. Hey, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of our new listeners. Hey, if this is your first time, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We are so grateful for you. We do the podcast because we just love Jesus.
Yes.
And we care about you. We don't want you to walk this life alone. Life is tough, and it's just so much better with Jesus. And it's so much better with friends. And so we are glad that you're here. My name is Nicole Clark, and I'm the founder of 1212. Started this amazing ministry just out of hurt and heartbreak of infertility and pregnancy loss. And the Lord was just kind enough to rescue my story and brought an amazing woman into my life, our awesome co-host, Holly. And so Holly.
Bless you for that intro. Hi, guys. I'm Holly. I just want to thank all of you that have tuned in with us before. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for sticking in this journey with us and listening in while we learn and grow together.
Yes. And we have a special guest today.
Yes.
I'm always excited, but I'm really excited about our special guest.
Same. I wish I had a flag.
I know.
We have Cristie Penn. My sweet mom, Cristie Penn. I'm pumped. I'm so glad you're here,
Cristie.
Mom.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Sweet
Okay,
lady.
can I tell a quick story really fast? I was not planning on this, but I feel like you guys have to know. Okay, so long ago, I don't even know how many years ago, but I first met Cristie at a women's event. And she just was so kind. She was so precious. And she just was, I don't know, the Lord just put it on her heart to share about her daughter. And I just did not know what that would look like. I didn't know. I don't even think I thought of anything. I was like, oh, she's great. I would love, to stay in contact with her, but just did not know what the Lord was doing and the steps that he was aligning for Holly and I to connect and for 1212 to flourish, for the podcast to flourish. Yes. So Cristie, I just thank you for your obedience. I don't know what the Lord spoke to you that day just to say, hey, I'm going to come and meet this young lady, but I'm so glad that you did, because the Lord has just done a new thing, an amazing thing. And I just love you both just so much, and so grateful for both of you.
We love you dearly.
Yes. Well, you guys, it is so fun to look back and think about that moment. We were in line to get food, and we happened to be by each other. And it was like, oh, there's something there. But then I just kind of let it go. And in his perfect time, he did his thing.
Yeah.
And sweet Nicole, I remember Nicole texting me, but trying not to be like too much, but she would just sweetly be like, hey, I met your mom. And then she would kind of check back in. And then I got a butterfly box and like all of the sweet little steps. But that just made my brain go to this place really quickly. If you're a mom that's in this with your daughter and you come across someone like Nicole, be bold. Like try to make that connection and not be overbearing about it, but just tell your daughter about it as someone you meet, about this ministry, about this podcast. Just be the bridge.
Yes.
That builds
exactly. Love that.
Okay, Mom, you're going to drop some truth bombs with us today, because that's how she rolls. My mom was a little powerhouse for Jesus. I feel like her life has just been, as long as I've been around, it's been a ministry pointing to the Lord. My entire life, there were like women in our house, maybe 40 or 50 or 60 of them, having Bible study, or she's teaching a class, or she's teaching a children's class at church, children's ministry. My whole life, she's just dedicated to furthering the kingdom. A friend of mine gave her a prophetic word that was till the last drop, which is so her. Like she will literally point people to Jesus until she cannot breathe another breath, which makes me a little emotional, but I'm going to keep it together. But she wrote an amazing book called Keys of Truth, and we'll loop back about that later. But we just wanted her to speak to you guys about marriage, about men and women and their design, and how to understand and learn how to walk through infertility and how to walk through marriage more in the identity God created you to walk in.
Yes.
So go, Keeks.
Well, that's my grandma name.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
She didn't just call me that out of the blue. Okay. Well, Gosh, I don't even know where to start, but I do know that God is involved. I think the older you get, maybe the shorter runway you have ahead of you, but you have a very long track record to see the faithfulness of God. And
It's
in
good.
those moments of not understanding what in the world is going on, I was just sharing with Nicole, there have been a number of years that it was like, where are you?
Mm,
Like, and it may be fertility, it may be your marriage, it may be your job, it could be your ministry. There are times that it feels like He is completely silent.
mm,
And looking back in my life now, it is not convicting, but it is so awe-inspiring and faith-building to have the view of literally hills and valleys of your life where
mm.
you see that He may have been quiet, makes me emotional, but He's been there the whole time.
It's good.
Yes.
And so, I look at the book I wrote, and let me just say, I don't like the word author because I I majored in interior design because I couldn't really read and comprehend until
Wow.
I was 36 and met the Lord. And so I tend to be more creative, less intellectual, but again, God can meet anywhere where they are because He created you the way you are,
Yes.
Yes.
Amen.
regardless of what you think you're lacking. But when Holly and John were dating, and I just hope this speaks to all the married women out there. When Holly and John were dating, I had been praying since I met Jesus. She was 3, our son was 6. I learned in Bible study to pray for my kids' spouses. So I began to pray for hers. And then as they were dating and courting, I could sense that she was serious. Through that time, I'm, as the mother, trying to prepare my heart for her heart to be broken. So positive, I know. But that's what we do. Um, but I started feeling this grief that ended up being revealed to me after the wedding that it was grief in my marriage because I was watching New Young Love and I had not seen that in a very long time. Um, and then you pass it off to life and, you know, bearing parents and maybe raising children or raising up a ministry or beginning a business, whatever it is. So I had kind of made a decision I would just gut it out till the end because that's how marriage went until after they were married. And even though I'd been begging the Lord for a long time to reveal whatever it was, I thought it was more about them and not about me. And after the wedding, the Holy Spirit literally came into my quiet time, interrupted me, and said, I want to talk to you about it now. At that point, I know we've all probably been there where you beg and plead through your fertility journey, and the pain you almost beg um, that he'll respond, and then when he's quiet, we just assume he's not listening. Well, at this point, I felt like he pulled up a chair and said, I'm ready to talk. Are you? And then I had to make a decision as to whether I would or not. And I didn't want to. Um, but he was persistent. And basically, what he said to me was, I didn't speak because the thing you were asking me was not what I wanted to tell you. The thing you were asking me had to do with someone else, but I want to talk to you about you because the grief or the feeling you've been feeling connected to the fear is grief. And I know Dr. Barbara Byers spoke on a podcast about that. That's a very real thing, and we all have it in different areas at different times, in different seasons, in different depths. And that's just the way life is. But when I realized that, he just asked me if I would do the next right thing, even if I didn't understand it. And even if I didn't get a payoff. And I think that is good for this audience. So it was like, are you going to do the next thing I tell you to do, even if you don't understand? And by the way, you're not doing it for your children, your husband, your ministry, your image, your identity, your church. You're not doing it for anybody but me. So if you're doing it for me, you cannot negotiate a payoff. So I honestly said, I don't know. I really don't know. I'll try the first thing and we'll see how it goes. But I wasn't even obedient enough to make a deal. So I just started doing one thing at a time, and it ended up turning into a book called Keys of Truth: Unlocking God's Design for the Sexes. So there are 25 keys about women and 20 about men. Women are a little more complex, so they get 5 more than men do. However, it helped me not only learn about my husband, but it helped me learn about me. It helped me learn about women. It helped me, it diffused some of the ammunition of the enemy to make me feel isolated and ignorant and like there was something wrong with me. And I would just ask us all, how much time and mental real estate do we give to questioning our identity, questioning the way we're built, questioning the way we think or respond or whatever, even when we're walking with God? Because the enemy has a target, and it is God's most prized possession. And the most prized possession is God's children and his family. So the kingdom of heaven is the most important thing in the world to God. And we get to reflect it here on earth. As imperfect as we are, he is so patient, so long suffering, and loves us more than we can comprehend. So here is the key and my focus of my life right now. This journey of this ministry, the infertility crisis in our nation, but also in Christian families, is a direct assault against the family of God. My heart, and to the last drop, I'm going to be investing my life in God's children and God's family. And when we look at things that are going on in just what happened in the news yesterday, the shootings at schools, now it is a Christian school, all of that is coming back, in my view, to the assault on family.
Yeah.
That when children grow up to respond like that out of frustration and not knowing their identity, we're going to continue to see that destruction and the depravity of human beings. So for me, I think the frustration, to be perfectly honest, the frustration has been that some of our churches aren't pulling back to the core foundation of the masculine and feminine in a family, and it has continually been watered down. Now, you step into the focus of this ministry, loss and infertility. That is another, to me, assault, because women were created to bring forth life.
Yeah.
And that was God's original design. So watching Holly, watching Nicole being invested in my heart to this ministry is something I want to fight. I want to fight against what is happening in our culture. And for me, it begins in our churches. What are churches doing to teach the true feminine, the true masculine, how to understand yourselves and the opposite gender, how to recognize that males were created to be hunters, warriors, and kings. And a hunter provides, and a warrior protects, and a king leads. and that women in their femininity were created to be collectors, connectors, and queens. And the collectors beautify, the connectors nurture, and the queens support.
That's good.
We are so different, you guys, that even though we are from dust to dust, if you go back and read Genesis chapter 3, you see clearly that Adam was made from dirt. She was made from flesh and bone. God did not grab some more dirt and do his thing with it and throw her out there. She was fashioned. She is feminine. So what is happening in our culture, as we know and can see, there is a continual downward spiral. And I believe the church has been empowered and given the command to reestablish at the core foundational basis, to reestablish who feminine are and who masculine are, and how to work together in harmony and have joy doing it. Because back to what I said earlier, we're not distracted by all of the attacks of the enemy that make us wonder what's wrong with us. We can know exactly how we're created. And we know, I mean, I don't know about everybody, but I do know we've been married 44 years. We've been to innumerable marriage retreats, we've heard a lot of stuff. We all know that men are created to need in their core honor and respect, and women need provision and protection. Again, we are extremely different, but we're created what I call the zipper effect, that when we fill in the voids of the other, that locks the enemy out and keeps the Holy Spirit active in us. So
that's good.
My heart is for your audience to not be distracted by the pain and to know how to work it out step by step, next right thing, but also to continue to focus on the fact, and this is a fact, there will always be potential for the pain to provide and to promote healing, not only in us, but in the people we come in contact with. Because he doesn't want to waste pain.
That's good.
And when we don't obey or we don't press in, we will choose to waste it.
That's such a good reminder to not let yourself go into autopilot just because you're in something really difficult. I love that. Mom, really, I don't know if you're able, I didn't ask you this before, but if you could pick like one key about men and one about women, just to kind of give our listeners like a teaser and maybe have it apply into walking through infertility, if you can kind of frame it that way.
Our culture has confused and then emasculated men by demanding that they be more feminine in the way they communicate. And men, this is a big one because we all tend to do it. Men shut down when they feel mothered. And that is one key. They all so shut down when they just sense emasculation, meaning, okay, women are created to be helpers. This was a big one in my marriage. And Don would tell you, recently we were doing a marriage intensive with a couple. And he said that the thing that shifted for him, and what happened was I started practicing these things and he was oblivious and had no idea. And it took about 6 months. And then he called me in the utility room where he was going through the mail. And he just said, I don't know what you're doing to me, but I feel like a guinea pig with benefits and I really like it. for those of you who are younger, that means a lab rat or something like that, which I know is not really appropriate anymore, but that's what he said. And then so I walked out of the room, went around the corner, slid down the wall, and thought, dear Lord in heaven, your promise was true. I didn't even tell him because I wasn't that committed. And I did ask God, if this doesn't work, can I leave? I'm just being totally transparent because I can't do this anymore. And that's horrible. But God was good and worked through my obedience. So I walked back down the hall. He called me back in again and he said, I think you should write a book about it. If we had had this even prior to counseling years ago, we would have made so many more strides. So when we were talking to this couple, he said, and this is around what our culture is doing to emasculate men. He said to this couple, the biggest change in our life was when I stopped assuming when she was helping me that she was emasculating me because she thought I was stupid. So you have to learn what lenses they see through.
That's good.
So we would argue and I would say, I'm created to be your helper. And he would look at me like, and it sounds like you don't trust me because you have a better way. I hope that makes sense. So the emasculation of men through lack of communication, but that they don't like to be mothered. And this is another huge one. When I learned that there was a little boy inside of him that would climb the highest hill, bloody his knees, his palms, and his elbows. And the minute he got to the top of the mountain, he would turn around and look to see if I was watching and to see if I thought he was worthy of my affection. That changed everything. I remember where I was standing. He was going through the mail again, and the Lord just said, look at him and listen to what I'm saying. So that helped. So I started kind of changing the way I spoke to him. The other thing for women, I think this is one of the most important overarching keys, is that we women, because of our physical bodies and our monthly cycle, and all the other things that happen to women all the way through to menopause, we are highly adaptable. Our bodies adapt. Unbeknownst to us, we have no control over it. And if we're speaking to women who are struggling through this loss and desire for children, she knows better than anyone. It is not anything we can control. We have no control. So God allowed us to be highly adaptable. Think back in the olden days, he might go out to kill dinner and be eaten by dinner and not come home. And for us, we might have one child, we might have numerous children, we might have aging parents, we might have a sick friend. We have this ability to completely adapt into that situation. And sometimes we expect men to, and they are not created to be that adaptable. The thing that concerns me greatly, because, I'm 67. I was in first grade in 1962 in the buckle of the Bible Belt when prayer and Bible reading were taken out of school. My generation is the beginning of the indoctrination into a different way of being for male and female. And much of it is, and rightly so, there needed to be changes. But because women are so adaptable, I believe the pendulum swung way to the other side. And we are hurting so intensely because we're exhausted, because we're trying to take a position we were never created to hold or carry. Men are physically stronger than women, different DNA, different bone density, but women are so strong in the area of communication and words. And these are general terms. So the other day I was thinking, a woman might say, "Oh no, I can hunt and I can kill me a deer and I can do that with the best of the guys." But at the same time, I'm like, well, you might have been um, able to do that, but that doesn't make you a hunter.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might adapt into learning something because you're highly adaptable, but that does not make you a hunter.
Mm.
And with women and the connection and all that, we want them to connect like us. They're not created to connect like we do. And women are created to beautify, men are not. Does that mean men can't make something cool and beautiful? I have a son that has that ability, but he's going to do it in a very masculine way.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So I think the big ones are the adaptability of women is about to send us to our grave because medications that are being prescribed, women are exhausted and it isn't their fault. And when I teach this in a class, I could cry right now. I feel like I need to apologize to the men in the room for what my generation of women have done to them. But I want to apologize to the women because that was an indoctrination. They don't really know any different until you learn it, which is why I believe God had me write this simple cookbook method of here is the feminine, here is the masculine. You can love yourself and you can love men or
Yeah.
the opposite gender.
It's good.
So good. Something though that just came to mind. There is on social media like TikTok or Instagram. There's this like meme or videos about when a woman is asking her husband or a wife is asking her husband to do something around the house, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it," but it's been days or whatnot. But then the wife jumps in and she's like, "I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to take care of it,"
Mm-hmm.
and really I've always thought that that was so funny and so true. But after hearing you talk, I'm like, wait a second. There's like so many things that are not,
Mm-hmm.
that are just like a little off about
Oh,
that, about, hey, what's the communication like? And, like, yes, we
Yes.
can do it as women and as wives. Yeah, we
Right.
can do it. But why are we taking that away from our husband?
Mm-hmm. It's good.
And I
absolutely.
mean, it just was like, you have just like really just changed my perspective today. Like the Lord just brought so many things to my remembrance of just like, of little instances of conversations of my husband and I. And this was just like such a blessing.
I
Yes.
Thank
was the
you.
queen of it, Nicole. I was the queen. And when I say to people, don't get mad at me because you don't like this truth. And there are a lot of younger women who do not like this. I'm like, well, when you're 45, I probably won't be around, but I'd love to know how it's working for you
You'll still be
because
around.
it's
Yeah.
because it's upside down
Yeah.
from his design. So try as we may, but there's a part in the book called Hero Language where
Mm.
I really learned how to ask Don with honor.
Yes.
And as simple as it sounds, and if there is ever a man listening to this, I mean this in the very best way,
Oh
but
gosh.
they're a lot like big, strong Saint Bernards sometimes. They're like, I'm not complex. And Don will say,
Yeah.
we're not complicated, but they want to show you their physical strength. And when I learned, just run it through those lenses. If you ask him with honor and respect, and there's a certain way to even approach the question and the
Mm.
timing, if I will do that and remember, he would love to show me his muscles, he would love to show me his strength. And it starts when they're little bitty boys. Just go to a playground and observe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Yes. Yep, absolutely. It's all a thing. Okay, so your book, Mom. Where can they get
Mhm.
your book if they want to learn
Yes.
more?
They can go to Amazon
Okay.
and um, it's don't give up. Keep keep pushing. I really truly believe that we've given away so many that Amazon does print on demand. And so that's what I would do. You can also go to keysoftruth.org. And I would prefer you get it from Amazon, but
Okay.
because we really don't have a way of doing that. But you can also see testimonies on there and some back videos of how the story and a little bit about us. So, and there's a lot of
Your news
testimonials.
and your newsletter list, that's on the
Oh, yes.
website? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you
And
can get them.
I don't know if we can do this, but I would love, can we put it on our 1212 shop? Like, can that be in the shop
Oh,
as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
then you can get the book
cool.
in the shop.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I
I
have
love
some
that.
That's
books
great.
at home. I have some books here.
There you
Yes.
go. There you go. Get them from Nicole.
Perfect. I love that. I love that.
Cristie,
Okay.
this has been really, really just really life changing. Like,
Mm.
I mean, I just
Oh,
know that this is going to bless our listeners and just putting in a new perspective, a godly perspective on just um, keys of truth,
Yeah.
and just how we are made as women and wives, and just different ways that we can approach our husbands and talk to our husbands. And our last episode was about including our spouses
Mm.
in the infertility journey. And I just think that this fits so perfectly, of just like, hey, how can we really do that? What are some practical ways that we can do that? And this was, thank you for showing us.
Yep.
you are so welcome. There is too that I always forget. Behind each chapter in the book are questions. So what we recommend that people read it together and then do a date night where they're somewhere and just go through that. But there's also um, kind of an immersed 13-week study guide with, and you can order this on Amazon, and then you can go to our website and get little snippet videos that I've been giving free in a weekly newsletter. And I don't usually do newsletters at all, but I felt like the Lord wanted people to have those little videos that kind of get your group started. But for people who are going through infertility, even for all people, it is a really good way to just go back to the basics of how you got your ideas about yourself and the opposite
Mm.
gender and how to pull together, because it's very impactful when you do it together.
It's good.
Yes.
I love
So
it. Thank you, Mama.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you, ladies, so much for having me. This is
Yes.
definitely a passion, and I think it is definitely a part, a powerful, empowering part to pull people together that are going through something and they feel alone. They're not alone. God is there,
Yes.
but if they have a spouse, that spouse is in it too, and he's trying his hardest to support. And the world hasn't really allowed him even the privilege of knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Amen.
Truth.
Yes. Thank
Keys
you
of
guys for
truth.
joining us. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Purpose Beyond Motherhood podcast. We are going to put all of those links in the show notes so you can get connected to Cristie. You can get connected to Keys of Truth and all of the things. Also, just a quick announcement, you have 1 week left to register for Refined. Holly is our keynote speaker. We are so excited for this, for her to just like share a little bit more of her story and just hear a powerful word. Also, we're going to have an awesome panel discussion and just worship. It's going to be a beautiful evening for you just to be encouraged. So don't forget, grab your ticket for Refined, and we will see you then. See you next time.
Bye, guys.